Namaste and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. And as we speak, these are visuals from the Taiwan airport or the airport in Taipei, where right now I've just got an update and I'm looking at this, where they say that the Taiwan Foreign Ministry has confirmed that an important guest will arrive at the airport in Taipei after 10:30 p.m. local time in Taiwan. There is a 2.5 hour time zone difference between India and Taiwan. That means anytime now, anytime after 8 p.m., we are expecting Nancy Pelosi's SPAR 19 to land at the Taipei airport. There are 4 aircraft, U.S. aircraft, Air Force aircraft, who are right now giving her an escort. Because on the other hand, there is a certain level of escalation that's coming from the CCP-led Chinese authorities, because they have closed that airspace. They claim that is Chinese airspace and they've closed that airspace, and they are once again trying to browbeat and trying to somewhere bully Pelosi and the US into backing off. But this time around, the US intent seems to be very, very clear that they are going to land. And Nancy Pelosi is somebody who's always been a China hawk. 30 years ago, she was at the Tiananmen Square raising the flag and standing up for human rights and also democracy in China. And today she's going to land in Taiwan, and there's going to be a big statement. Does this underline the breaking away from this entire one China policy, and is that a thing of the past, and will the world follow the US in trying to break away this one China policy? Will there now be separate talk about East Turkestan, about Tibet, about Hong Kong, just like there is talk about Taiwan? That's the big question. She's all set to land, and this is the Taiwan Foreign Ministry that has just said that she will land anytime after 10:30 p.m. That's the news that's just coming in, and we're going to stay with this story. 2 big stories today, ladies and gentlemen, both of them here tonight on the right stand. First up, the entire standoff between the US and China over Pelosi's visit, Nancy Pelosi's visit, the US Speaker, her visit to Taiwan and her landing in Taipei. She's got a day-long itinerary ready for tomorrow. And the other story is the big global exclusive here at CNN News 18, where the Interior Minister of Afghanistan, a wanted terrorist and the face of the Taliban, Sirajuddin Haqqani, has also spoken with us. We'll get to that interview in just a bit. We're waiting for this flight to touch down, because this touchdown is a big, big statement. Abhishek Jha with us. Abhishek, the world is going to watch the most tracked flight on social media till date. Nearly 20,000 viewers were concurrently just tracking the flight path on CNN News 18's digital stream. But that is the level of interest, because this underlines a statement that the world is going to break away from one China policy that's been smashed to bits the moment SPAR 19 touches down at the Taipei airport.
So, Anand, it looks like SPAR 19 has already entered the Taiwanese airspace. It is also believed that a certain number of Taiwanese Air Force planes are also escorting plane of Nancy Pelosi. Meanwhile, we have reports that combat sirens have been activated in the Chinese province of Fujian. This is the same region where Chinese military drills have been happening for the last 3-4 days. And apparently China had warned any activity in this region, because they have said that the military drill they are conducting will continue to be in operation until 6th of August. So this was the same window that they were trying to protect in order to have, Nancy Pelosi not visit Taiwan. But it looks like all said that in a minutes from now, Nancy Pelosi, U.S. Speaker of U.S. House of Representatives, will be landing in Taipei. We are also getting reports that there is a crowd which is gathered there. There is kind of celebration also among the locals. And we'll have to see how the reactions are actually going to happen from the Chinese side. Because talking about militarily, there have been very aggressive posturing from Chinese side, repeated warning from Chinese side. Even today, Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs have issued a warning, almost a warning, and they have said that even after a repeated attempt, if Nancy Pelosi is visiting Taiwan, then the risk factor is only going to increase, and the situation is going to escalate.
Now, if you look at it very, very pragmatically, this is a huge PSYOP and a PSYOP back between the US and China. If China is trying to browbeat and trying to intimidate, the US is turning around and saying that I'm not backing off and I'm going to intimidate you back. So that seems to be the story. But the larger aspect is this will also be the touchdown of SPAR 19 will be a big psychological win for the Biden administration, for America, which was seen as weak and listless after its pullout of Afghanistan, and also what happened with the Russia-Ukraine conflict and its inability to save Ukraine from being pounded and plundered by the Russians. So at various aspects, this is a big win for America, and it is also a lesson that's being taught to China, where China's bullying tactics are being put to test and they are also being called out.
Of course, Anand. In fact, the USA will have two major breakthroughs to celebrate today. One was, of course, when USA President had announced the killing of Ayman al-Zawahiri, the number one of Al-Qaeda. That was one of the, rules that was for a very long time. Almost after a year, Joe Biden could have a sigh of relief because the chaotic pullout that we had seen of USA forces going out from Afghanistan was quite, something that Biden administration would not like to remember for a very long time. The second news is of Nancy Pelosi finally arriving in Taiwan. We know the kind of diplomatic and military escalation which has happened in the last few days between China and USA. In fact, it was quite, a strong statement from Chinese President Xi Jinping when he was during last week on Thursday during his conversation with Joe Biden. He had said that those who play with fire perish by it. That was quite a strong statement, and despite all those posturing and aggressive stance that China has said, finally, Nancy Pelosi is going to land.
I've got Glenn Carl also with us. Glenn Carl, former CIA operative, now he's also an author and a speaker, and he's a regular on the Right Stand, and always a pleasure to speak with him. Glenn, namaste, and thank you for joining us on what an eventful evening. There's so much happening. There is Ayman al-Zawahiri neutralized, and now this is Nancy Pelosi neutralizing the Chinese bullying tactics. She's such a fiery lady that even if there have been a half thought that should we turn back, ma'am, somebody, there are people on social media saying she would have said, I'll fly the plane and I'll touch down in Taipei, I'm not backing off. She's somebody who's always called out China for its human rights violations, wanted to link trade with China's human rights record, and she has been at the Tiananmen Square. But how do you see this browbeating by the Chinese? The Chinese state-affiliated media has just now claimed that SPAR 19, the US Air Force jet carrying US